Oh, what is the Epskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 126, Martin St. Louis of my little hockey show, where once a week I go through all of the major news and what's happenings around the NHL, semi-focusing in on the Leafs and the Calgary Flames, because that's my two favorite teams, but I'll be talking about all 32 teams, and this week we will be focusing in on the Nashville Predators and what the heck is going on over there. And since we talked about Martin, we're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, les habitants, Montreal, there you go. So we're going to talk about Montreal because they're having a rough time. They did have a win, but prior to that, they were on, a 7 or 8 game losing streak. And man, I had some higher hopes for Montreal coming into this season. I feel like at least Habs fans were optimistic coming into this season. The addition of Patrick Laine, Lane Hudson, just destroying everything in the preseason. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's the next coming of Bobby Orr. He's coming. You got to watch out. Well, it hasn't happened. Doesn't look like the Habs are in any way, shape, or form on their way to a playoff spot this season. And it's all kind of crumbling around them right now, and pressures are starting to mount. And is Martin St. Louis on the hot seat? Could he potentially get fired? I don't think so. I don't think so just yet. But, looking back at Martin St. Louis, he had such a jump in terms of coaching. He's not kind of like the other coaches that have come into the NHL as former players. Martin St. Louis went from coaching a youth hockey team. He was coaching his sons. And then the next thing you know, he is coaching the Montreal Canadiens. So it was quite the jump for Martin St. Louis in terms of levels. He went from almost as minor as you can get before Pee Wee or what. I don't know what he was coaching, but he wasn't coaching anything major, I don't believe. And now he is coaching one of, if not the most prestigious hockey club in the NHL right now, and some of the most rabid, gnarliest fans. And man, the heat is turning up, but I don't think that Martin St. Louis' job is in danger just yet. I would imagine there's probably some other coaches out there that are a little bit hotter right now. We'll get there when we talk about Nashville, but I don't know, man. I think Martin St. Louis has a good relationship with his players. It's just right now, the glaring issue with Montreal is the blue line. The blue line is extremely young. It's extremely unexperienced on the NHL level right now. They're dealing with tons of injuries. And yeah, man, it's just growing pains. And they're very, very painful right now. We saw the clip going around of Lane Hudson just getting turnstiled by Willie. Basically, just walk through the whole entire team. Not a lot of problem for him right there. He just skated right through everybody, ripped it, and it's a goal. And yeah, that definitely got a lot of play time. It's the Leafs. It was the Saturday night game. And yeah, a lot of people saw what went down in that Habs game, and shit, bro. So let's take a closer look at the Montreal Canadiens point-wise. So they are 8th place in the Atlantic. They are last place in their division. Bottoms of the league. They're not the bottom, but they're down there with a 5-9-2 record. And if you just take away that 7-game losing streak or whatever, right? How many losses was? Okay, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 only 6 losses. Hey, if you take out those 6 losses, they're 5-3-2, which is really good. So yeah, obviously you got to avoid these big losing streaks. Not good at all. And it's not their first losing streak. They've had a losing streak of 4 games. They had a rough start. I think that's in the preseason, though. So that's just a couple. I think they lost. Okay, so they just have a couple losing streaks going, but a really bad one right there. Right now, their goals for 2.88. Right now, that's 19th in the league. It's not horrible, but it's not good. It's right in that mucky middle spot where you don't really want to be. Their goals against is the worst in the NHL at 4.13. That is awful. You're letting in 4 goals per game. That's going to be very tough. That means you got to score 5 goals per game to win, and they're currently not doing that. I don't think anybody's doing that ever, unless you're the 80s Gretzky team or whatever. Power play, not bad. 23.2%, ninth place in the NHL. So they're doing something right there. That's decent. And their penalty kill is around the middle. 80%, 80.4 to be exact, 15th place in the NHL. So again, not elite, it's not bad, it's right there in the middle. It's fine. 80% is pretty decent. And then we're looking at the stats. So, Samuel Montembeault, young, hot goaltender, got himself an extension, and he's supposed to be the next one for Montreal. And 12 games played, 4-7-1 record with a 3.41 goals against and an .890 save percentage. And if we take away that ridiculous game that he started with against the Toronto Maple Leafs with that 40-some-odd save shutout, I would imagine that his save percentage is quite possibly a sub .850, and that is virtually unplayable. You will not win games with that, which is immensely disappointing because, Montembeault has shown flashes of being a really good starting goaltender. He's even had consideration for the Team Canada in the Four Nation Cup thing. And I know that the Canadian goaltending right now is I'm not going to say dire straits, but compared to 20 years ago when you had the combination of Patrick Waugh, Ed Belfour, and Curtis Joseph, Martin Brodeur, there was so many amazing goaltenders back then, and it's been a little light. Now we're getting names like Adin Hill, Mackenzie Blackwood is still out there, not Jake Allen, fucking his other guy, Jordan Binnington, he's the front runner right now. Samuel Montembeault has been in that conversation as well, along with other goalies. Pretty much, it's just that none of them really stick out as being oh, hey. But a lot of those goalies aren't on great teams. I mean, if you put Montembeault on a great defensive elite team, he might be good. If you put any of those goalies on a fantastic team, they might play a lot better. And that's kind of what people are looking at Mackenzie Blackwood. It's hey, he plays good on a bad team. Put him on a good team, he might be ridiculous. So there is that. But yeah, Montembeault not playing great. He had a great start, and it's been kind of falling off of a cliff since then. And then there's Caden Primo. My. 7 games played, a 1-2-1 record. I imagine he's been put in for a couple of pulls for Samuel Montembeault. But in there, he's got a 4.68 goals against, an .845 save percentage. Oh my goodness. So yeah, the goaltending is still a major issue with this team. Combine that with the young, inexperienced blue line, and you got yourself a bottom-feeding team right here. You got a team that's going on 6-game losing streaks, and it adds up, man. It absolutely adds up. So where does this team go from here? A lot of people are discussing, is a full teardown rebuild a good idea in this NHL anymore? Because a full teardown rebuild, we look at what's going on with Buffalo. That full teardown rebuild has been going on since 2011, and they're on the brink of possibly having another rebuild because what they rebuilt isn't really there yet. It doesn't always work. Not every rebuild is successful, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes with Buffalo. That's been going on for a long time, but we're starting to see other teams that have been rebuilding. The Detroits, the Ottawas, the Montreals. We're seeing San Jose, Anaheim, all these teams that have been rebuilding for a long time. They are still at the bottom, man. And we're seeing other teams that took the retool route, like Washington, even though they never were bottom of the barrel, when it was time to make that decision. It's hey, are we tearing this shit down? We're going to rebuild this thing from ground up. They decided, nah, we're going to retool. We're going to do this. Look at the Rangers. They said they were going to do everything, but that is an example of everything just going exactly right for the Rangers. They got the first overall pick right away. Boom, Lafreniere. Second overall pick. Boom, Kakko. Boom, here comes Panarin out of nowhere. I'm here. Hey, Shesterkin, what's going on? All right, we're elite. We're fucking cup contenders in 2 years. That is an outlier. That does not happen on a regular basis. Though all the teams, Ottawa, all these people would love for that to happen to them as well. It's just not reality. And maybe these full teardown rebuilds they go too hard. Maybe they're going too hard. Look at what Chicago's done. They tore that bitch down to nothing. Patrick Kane's gone. Taves isn't playing anymore. Duncan Keith is gone. Seabrook's gone. Goaltending's gone. They traded away. They even started trading away guys that made no sense. Brandon Hagel. Why'd you trade that guy? He was a young, good up-and-coming player who would be amazing on your team right now. He's gone for some reason. they traded away everything, man. They traded away so much, and it was successful. They got Connor Bedard, but that doesn't mean Connor Bedard by himself will raise your team up. I mean, you have to build around him. It's so much more than just one player in the NHL. It's not like the NBA where you can win a championship with an elite starting five. In the NHL, you got to have a full lineup. You got to have depth. You got to have so much. You got to get lucky. You got to have great contracts. You got to have rookies that are just wrecking it on their rookie contracts. You got to bank in on those. And once you start paying everybody, it gets very difficult. You start losing these players, and they go off and do better things. And sometimes you don't always get to replace them with a player that can fill that role the way that the other guy did. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a guy for cheap and he comes in, he's amazing. Look at Michael Bunting. And then now he's getting paid. Now look at Michael Bunting. It's just, So is it a great idea for these big rebuilds anymore? I mean, it's extremely, extremely difficult. And a lot of people are saying, like, give it 3 to 5 years. I don't even know if that's true, man. With the way, how long it takes to rebuild a team, it's not easy. And it's very easy to tear down a team, but it's extremely difficult to build one back up and make them a championship team. It takes a long time, and sometimes it's not always successful. Sometimes when you're rebuilding, you just don't get those generational talents. Like, look at Edmonton when they got all those first overall picks. Was Taylor Hall a generational talent? No, sadly he wasn't. Was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a generational talent? No, he wasn't. He's a great player, but he alone wasn't going to turn that team around. Was Nail Yakupov we'll just stop right there. No, he was not. So it's all luck, baby. Like, the Leafs, when they decided to rebuild, just so happened to get Austin Matthews, who is a game changer. And at that time, they also had other guys in the wings, and they kept them all down and then brought them all up together in 2016. Marner, Willie, Hyman, Matthews, everybody came up and they made the playoffs. You get lucky sometimes. Like, we didn't expect Austin Matthews to score 40 in his first season, score 4 goals in his first game. We didn't expect that. And Marner and Willie were 60-point players as rookies. So that was just a great situation. They got lucky. They got a little bit lucky, and not everyone is lucky like that. And we're looking at Montreal right now. Look at their first overall picks. It got Slafkovsky. It's too early to say if this kid is a generational talent or not yet. I think he's very, very good. I'm very impressed with him so far. Injury problems might be a little bit of a concern throughout his time, but then you're looking at other, like Cole Caulfield, great pick, great addition. And there's a lot of talk around Suzuki right now. Like, what if Suzuki is getting tired of this shit? Like, if he re-signs for another big contract, he's only 25 years old right now, so he's got another 8-year deal in him, and where's he going to want to sign? Is he going to want to stay with Montreal? He is the captain. He's I feel like pretty well liked. You don't hear a lot about Nick Suzuki. I'm a big fan of Nick Suzuki. I think he's a great two-way player. But I don't think he is the top line center that would lead Montreal to the promised land, to the playoffs, to whatever else that could lead to. I think Nick Suzuki is a phenomenal second line center. I think he absolutely can play top line center. He is, but in this world, in this NHL that you have, you need something a little bit more. And Nick Suzuki, he's generally around a point per game, maybe a slightly under. You need a guy that's, just dominating on that top line. I just don't think Nick Suzuki is that. And I don't even know if Cole Caulfield is that top left winger or right winger, top winger, because he's never even hit 30 goals before. He's got a great start to this season. Can he finish it off? He's never been even a 30-goal guy. So I know there's a lot of hype around him. He's got a great shot, and he's got all that potential. He's very similar to Brock Besser. Brock Besser every season was like, oh yeah, he's got all the tools to get 30, 40, maybe even 50, and it took him up until last year was the first time I believe he cracked over 30 and 40 goals. So, I mean, Cole Caulfield's a great little player. Slafkovsky's a great little player, and they got all these up-and-coming guys, and Gooley and Lane Hudson, and I don't know, man. Like, I'm looking at it, and I just don't know if these guys are going to get there all together. Like, I think they're still probably Like, it'd be great if they can sit there and get into the Baggins for Haggins situation where you can, what the hell is his name? James Haggins. He's supposed to be the next big thing coming into the NHL. Right now, he is the top prospect. He is listed to be taken first overall in this upcoming draft, and he's supposed to be a needle mover player. Now, we hear that every single year. I'm not going to lie, that happen every single year this happens. Every once in a while, they'll be like, maybe it's a little more of an open draft where we don't really know who is the bona fide number one. But it seems like this year he is taking that early spot where he is the bona fide clear-cut number one overall pick. There's still a lot of season to go and things can change, but he's been there for a while now, Mr. Haggins. So will Montreal be begging for Haggins this season and get that first overall pick? And that could be potentially their top-notch center, but not every first overall pick comes right into the NHL and dominates the way that McDavid and Austin Matthews did. Connor Bedard, he had a really good first season. He's kind of struggling right now. He's in I wouldn't, not necessarily a sophomore slump, but a little bit, man, a little bit. And it's very common for this to happen for pretty much all players, man. This is very common. Watch out for Bedard in year 3, because that's usually when players really figure it out. Once the NHL starts figuring them out, and then they figure out what the NHL has figured out about them, and then they figure out different ways to play, and they dominate, and it's just, it takes time. Not every 18-year-old comes in and dominates the NHL. What were you doing at 18? I know what I was doing. Fucking nothing like that. So just give these kids some time every now and again. But I understand at this point the patience is probably wearing a little bit thin here with Montreal, all these losing seasons. But back to Nick Suzuki, will that be the outlier? Will that be the reason? Is that going to be something that ends up, Nick Suzuki says no more. I've been losing my whole entire career. I've been here. Yes, I'm the captain and everything's great, but I want to win, and I have an opportunity to win if I go to blank team or whatever team. Who knows? I don't know what he's going to do. I'm not inside his head. I'm not in his inner circle. I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he wants to be a lifelong Montreal Canadian and never make the playoffs like Jeff Skinner or something. I don't know. It's not the worst thing, but it could happen. It could happen. So Montreal fans, what are you feeling on this team right now? I imagine it's very, very low. But in terms, let's go back to Nick Suzuki one more time. He is currently over a point per game player. So 16 games played, 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points, and a -3. Considering the way that the team is, a -3 for the top line center of this team, that's actually pretty decent. There's some -13s, there's a -10, there's a -12. So again, that kind of justifies the fact that Nick Suzuki is a damn fine two-way player. He would be so good on a Stanley Cup contending team as a second-line center. Imagine Nick Suzuki on a Colorado Avalanche. Imagine a Nick Suzuki as the second-line center of your Toronto Maple Leafs. Anything like that, you know what I'm saying? It would be pretty freaking wicked. But Suzuki's doing his thing. Cole Caulfield, like I said, sort of slowing down. Not really. I mean, he has 12 freaking goals in 16 games, which is absolutely fantastic. He's just got to keep it going. He generally falls off. He's got to keep that consistency going. Only 1 assist, though, so he's got that Cy Young Award going for him. 13 points in 16 games. Again, he's good, but is Cole Caulfield a top-line winger? Is he that good? Is his offense so good that it covers for his lack of defense? I don't know about that one. You got Uri Slavkovsky having a nice second season, 13 games, only the 1 goal. You would definitely want some more goals out of Slavkovsky, but 10 assists, 11 points, not bad. And he has missed a few games here. You got Lane Hudson. He's got 10 assists in 16 games. Consistency is a big problem with Lane Hudson. He goes dormant for numerous games, then he'll pop off a couple assists here and there. He's got to keep things consistent, and he's just got to learn more, man. He's just got to learn how to defend these NHLers. It takes time, and right now you can clearly see that he is going through it right now. He's getting turned around. He is just sometimes looks absolutely fucking lost out there, but there's also, you see those flashes of offensive brilliance out of Lane Hudson. The ridiculous passes that he can make, oh my goodness. There is something there with Lane Hudson. Currently a -7. Not dreadful, but definitely not good. Mike Matheson's got 10 assists as well in 16 games, a -9. I mean, he had such a good season last year, 60-plus points. Could he do it again? I mean, maybe, but I don't know. That defense is rough. Brendan Gallagher's having a nice bounce back. He's got 7 goals in 16 games, 9 points. Could he get traded? He's kind of been on the trading block for a little while. His contract makes it a little bit difficult to trade. There's a lot of term and quite a bit of money on that contract right there for Brendan Gallagher. And the amount of offense that he's been bringing, not really going to justify that, but maybe with some salary retained, they could trade Brendan Gallagher away, but I don't know how much you're going to get for him. Same with Josh Anderson. At this point, I don't know if he is tradable. Apparently, there was an offer made on Josh Anderson, and I think it involved a first-round pick, and if that's true and they didn't take that deal, Montreal, you're fucking crazy. Like, if you had an opportunity to get out of that deal, you take it. You absolutely take it, and he's only got 3 goals in 16 games. I mean, yikes. It just hasn't been enough. Like, a point every other game for the amount of money that he's making. It's just not there. Jake Evans got 7 points. Christian Dvorak's only got 7 points. Kirby Dach's only got 7 points in 16 games. I was really rooting for that player. At least he's playing in all the games. That's good. He just hasn't been as amazing as people were hoping. Newhook, only 4 goals in 16 games, 4 points total. That's just not enough. A decent amount of goals, I guess, for him, but yeah, 4 points and oh my goodness, a minus 12. That is just brutal. Kirby Dach is the worst on the team at a minus 13. And yeah, that's another thing, man. That's a young center. Maybe he has a thing or two to learn about being a two-way center. And yeah, man, that's just it's a young freaking team, and defensively they're getting taken to school. Who else do we got here? David Savard. Kind of forgot that he's still there. 4 points. Yeah. So what's that guy's name? Kane Gooley is back now. That can help their blue line. I don't know how much. According to NHL, the video game, he's an 85 overall, which I was like, holy shit, that's a little aggressive, but that's what he is. You got Arbor Xhekaj. He's got 0 points and a minus 5. I don't know if I haven't really heard a whole lot of Xhekaj this season either. It's just they're not scoring enough. They're letting in way too many freaking goals. The blue line's very young and inexperienced, and their goaltending just isn't good enough to make up for those defensive inefficiencies. And they're giving up great chances. They're just, it was a rough watch, man. That Montreal-Toronto game, Montreal did not look good at all. Looked bad. They looked bad. So the team's not looking good at all this season. Doesn't look like it's going to be another successful season. And how much longer will they keep Martin St. Louis around? I don't think he is. Like I said, I don't think he's in danger this season. But they get off to another bad start. I imagine they're probably starting to look around now. Maybe looking for other options. But I don't think that he's necessarily the problem. I don't know. I would have to get that out of Montreal fans. Are you guys a fan of Montreal or of Martin St. Louis being the coach? Or is it time to bring in another one? And is it possible to have a coach that isn't of French-Canadian descent? Like, why limit yourself? Just get the best guy available. And that's what I would do. Like, yes, it's great to have a French-Canadian speaking guy in a French-Canadian market, but do you want to win or not? Do you want the best available? Sometimes the best available is not French-Canadian speaking coaches. Sometimes it's an American. Sometimes it's something else. So I wouldn't limit myself to that, especially in a market, in a NHL that is so competitive right now. Like, everyone's pretty tight up against it, and like there are opportunities to sneak into playoff spots. And I would want the best available. And I don't know at the time when they hired Martin St. Louis if he was technically the best available. I highly doubt that, considering he had very little experience, but here we are. I mean, there was very good optimism with the relationship and the way that he was getting Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki to play, and the younger players, he's letting them play offense. But when you let the horses gallop a little bit, they can get a little lost and get a little crazy and forget their defensive responsibilities. And maybe at this point, I'm not saying go out there and hire John Tortorella, but maybe a guy that can teach these guys. You got to finish checks. You got to be defensively responsible and teach them a defensive system, because clearly they need something. They need a defensive system. They need They need order. They need something to tighten up that defense because it's all over the map. It's very confused, and it looks bad. So I think that's enough trashing on the Montreal Canadiens. Let's go trash another team that's not doing very well in the Nashville Predators. Or as I have been dubbing them, CrashVille Predators. I'm so good. But no, seriously, they're doing terrible. Horrible, in fact. They are last place in the NHL, and I don't think anyone had Nashville starting out this poorly with all those additions. Now, I did mention it takes guys time to adjust to completely new situations. And Stamkos and Marchessault, they've been on their teams. Stamkos for his whole entire career since 2008, and then fucking Marchessault is one of the original Golden Knights and just came off winning a Stanley Cup and all that crap. So, but Marchessault has moved around a lot in his career. Shea's moved around, but what the fuck is going on with this team? Like, man, freaking Barry Trotz coming out teasing rebuild, and we've just been talking rebuild and how maybe that's not the best road to go down, and we're teasing that already. And after that immense offseason and all these additions, spending all that money, and people had them as contenders and possible Stanley Cup winning team, and here we are in absolute last place. And how the hell did we get here? I really don't get it, man. I don't. This is such a strange anomaly, but all right. We got UC. Well, let's start with the stats. They're 5-9-2, 8th place in the Central. I believe that is still last place in the NHL. They are below teams like the Ducks, below teams like the Sharks, below the Chicago Blackhawks, and what the fuck? You got Saros, you got Yossi, you got Stamkos, you got Philip Forsberg. There's a team here, but did they mess up the chemistry of what made Nashville last year? Let's get in there and take a look. Goals for, trash. 2.44 goals per game, 29th in the league. They cannot find a way to score. The new additions aren't working. Line combinations aren't working. I mean, the only thing that at least 5-on-5, they are not scoring. Special teams are doing well. It's 5-on-5. They have not been able to figure it out. Goals against has been rough. At 3.31, that's 24th in the NHL. UC Saros isn't stealing games that he usually does, and their blue line just isn't playing like a Nashville blue line. But their specialty teams are doing fine. Power play is 22.2. That's 10th place in the NHL, and their penalty kill is first place in the NHL at 90.9. So your penalty kill is humming. It's doing great. Whatever you're doing there, apply that to 5-on-5 or something. I don't know. That's some wild stuff. So there is a hope. So they're doing something right there. They just got to figure out 5-on-5. So what the hell is going on? UC Saros. We got 13 games played right there. 4-7-2 record, a 264 goals against, and a 911 save percentage. Dandy. Absolutely dandy. Now, those numbers are fluffed up by 2 shutouts, but UC Saros is doing his thing, man. A 911 is a damn fine save percentage. I would say above average. A 2.64 goals against average, that is good. Really, really good, I would say. And way below Nashville's goals against per game. So what's going on? Is Scott Wedgwood the problem? Well, he's only played in 3 games. How could he be the problem? He's got a 1-2 record. He does have a horrifying 4.36 goals against average and an 841 save percentage. So, youch. Definitely hurts when they lost. Oh, geez, I don't remember. Is it Lankinen, Kakinen? I don't know. There's too many Akinens, goaltenders out there right now. But that hurts them, man. They lost that backup goalie who was really, I guess, quite solid for them. And Scott Wedgwood's just not getting the job done so far. It is only 3 games, but when you got an 841 save percentage, you don't feel very confident putting that guy in the net right now. All right, let's take a look at this offense that across the board is down. It is not where it should be. Philip Forsberg's doing okay. He's got 8 goals in 16 games, which is under his normal. Well, I mean, in and around his normal. That's around a 40-goal pace. He does tend to get rather hot at certain points, usually around the back the back half of the season. He tends to get hot, but lately he's just been hot all season long. But this year, not that hot. 16 games, only 13 points, a -3. What's his shooting percentage? His shooting percentage isn't that bad. It's at 12.7. That's probably a little around average for him. Then Roman Josi, he's got 16 games, only 11 points, and a minus 11. That's not good. That's not good at all. Only 1 goal from Roman Josi. Ryan O'Reilly, he has 10 points in 16 games. He's a minus 7. Jonathan Marchessault, new guy, 16 game played, 9 points. Not bad, but only 3 goals. You brought this guy in to score, and he's only got 3 goals. Not good enough. The other guy they brought in to score goals only has 4 goals, and I think they're probably all on the... No, they're not all on the power play, but Stamkos, we knew coming in, he's a little bit of a power play merchant. He gets a lot of his goals on the power play, and right now he's not getting those goals. Well, maybe he is getting... Well, he's not getting the goals on the power play. Someone is, but not really him. 8 points in 16 games and a minus 11. Now, this is not new with Steven Stamkos. Stamkos last year on Tampa had a outrageously bad plus-minus, and that was because he scores most of his points on the power play where you don't get a plus for that. And he's on the ice a lot for 5-on-5 goals because he's not very good defensively. That's just not his game. His game is power play and scoring goals. That's what he do, and he ain't doing it for Nashville. Why? I would have to imagine new system, new coach, new things, possibly a new role on the power play. Maybe he's not shooting it from the spot, and he doesn't have the same people on his power plays. No more Kucherov. There's no more Hedman. Those guys, pretty fucking good. And, you know, there just isn't that player on the Nashville Predators. They don't have a Kucherov. They got a pretty close Victor Hedman and Shea or Roman Josi, but man, it has just not been clicking at all. Luke Evangelistas got 8 points in 16 games. Not horrible. And then Gustav Nyquist. A lot of people predicted that he will be dropping off quite a bit from what he did last season, but he had a great chemistry. I believe he was playing with O'Reilly and Forsberg as the top line. They had great chemistry. He was over 70 points for Nyquist. Best season of his career. And right now he's rocking 8 points in 16 games. A point every other game and 5 goals. Not on pace for what he did last year. He's on pace for about 40 some odd points. So a 30-point drop-off for Gustav Nyquist as of right now. And then Brady Shea, he's only provided 6 points in 16 games. He's a minus 7. There's not very many pluses on this team that have played a lot of games. Tomasino's a +1 in 8 games. Mark Del Gazio has a +1 in 10 games. And Luke Evangelista in 16 games is a +1. So that's nice. But outside of that, oh my goodness, almost everybody is a minus. Well, everyone is a minus. Not a lot of... so let's talk about Dante Fabro. Dante Fabro, kind of a bullet avoided there, I think. Weren't the Leafs in on this guy? Well, he just got waived and claimed by the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that sucks, man. I don't know what happened with Dante Fabro. This guy was a first-round pick. He seemed pretty good. He got himself a little contract. He was making like $2.5 million. And he apparently is not playable on this Nashville team. That's not good, man. I mean, it sucks. Kind of good for Columbus. A lot of people didn't think that he would get claimed. So I guess he's having a really, really rough go. I mean, he's a -3 in 6 games, no points. Not a lot of shots, just not a lot going on. He was only playing around 13 minutes per game when he was in there. So, yeah, I guess they can move off him. They clear up a little bit of cap space right there, but what are they going to do with that, you know? And like, how serious is what's his face, Barry Trotz, about a rebuild here? I really don't think, like, you can. Like, if you try to rebuild after what you just did, I think you will lose your job. After spending all that in free agency, and then you would have to turn around and try to get rid of these players, and you would be trading them at a loss, for sure. There's no way that you're selling high on Stamkos right now. You're selling low. You're selling low on Shea, and you'd be selling low on Marchessault. There would be interest for sure, but you wouldn't be getting as much as you would if you had traded them in the offseason or something. And that's just not going to happen. That's just bad GMing. You don't bring in a guy on big contracts and then send him out during that season after 16 games playing with you. I think it is way too early to pull the plug. And what a lot of people are gauging why he's doing this and putting out such a such a message to his team. He's trying to light a fire under them, for goodness sakes. Like, they got to get going here. And they don't have a U2 concert to cancel right now, so they could set one up and then cancel it and then see if that sets them off. But Nashville wasn't that good of a team last year until that happened. They were pretty mediocre, if not nothing special. And then they went on a ridiculous winning streak and got themselves into the playoffs. And here we are. They doubled down. They're like, all right, let's get this and get that and rebuild. What would a rebuild look like for the Nashville Predators right now? Are you trading a Yossi? Are you trading Saros? There's no fucking way you're trading Saros after you just traded away Askarov, so Saros ain't going anywhere. Maybe you should have... I don't know, man. Like, this is definitely going to be a butterfly effect back to that summer. It's like, shit. Maybe we should have traded Saros instead of extending him, kept Askarov, and just went with a retool. Trade off, or just not bring in Stamkos and Shea and all that. And, I don't know, put that money somewhere else. Who knows, man? It's not easy being a GM. Everyone thought it was a great idea. We all thought we were going crazy. Oh, Barry Trotz going to win Stanley Cup. Good, so smart. And here we are, last place. So, I think rebuild or whatever he's claiming is just a way to try and light something under his team. Dante Fabro just got waived and claimed. Maybe that scares some guys into... I don't know, it could be a good or a bad thing. You don't want to get waived and claimed and just taken away and lost for nothing. It's not ideal. I don't think they would have gotten anything for Fabro anyway if they tried to trade him. I imagine they already did try to trade him, and just not a lot of offers out there. But, man, it is... I really don't know what I'm not a fucking coach. I don't know what all they got to do is try and figure out this 5-on-5 play and get these guys going. Outside of that, they got great specialty teams. UC Saros is playing very good. I feel like those numbers are good to me. Maybe he's letting in a bad muffin every now and again. It really just sucks the wind out of the team. But a 911 save percentage, you can't blame Saros. Like, that's above average. And he's giving you opportunities to win, but your lack of scoring 5-on-5 is letting you down. So what's the answer to that? Is there a trade that they could possibly make? Is there someone waiting in the minors that they can bring up and try and get some goals into their lineup? I think Daniel Sprong just got waived or something. Could you bring in that guy? He's got zero defense, but he could score goals. He could help you guys out. Is that an option? Is it something small like that can light a fire under this team? Or is there something much bigger that's an issue with the Nashville Predators? And guys like Stamkos and Marchessault just aren't the answer. Maybe they need guys that are better at scoring goals, not on the power play. They need some 5-on-5 guys. And we all know Stamkos just isn't that guy. He's a power play specialist. That's what he do. And Marchessault, I don't really know, man. I don't know if he is technically a power play specialist or if he is a good 5-on-5. But right now, they're not doing it, and maybe they should try and reunite that line with Gustav Nyquist and whatever line that they had that was going really good. But shit, dude, I didn't see this coming. I don't know if this can continue. This team, like, they just seem too good on paper to continue playing this way. Like, I think they just got to get out of this goal slump. Like, is there a major PDO situation that's happening? Are they just having terrible luck right now? I don't know, man. It's got to turn around. Like, there's no way that Nashville is worse than the Ducks, worse than San Jose. Like, you look at that San Jose team, it's a barren fucking wasteland, and they got more than the Nashville Predators right now. It's just absolutely insane to me. Let's take a look at their upcoming schedule. Let's see if they can do something here. So it's been a rough little while here, man. No sustained winning streaks whatsoever in the last little while. Last time they had a winning streak was a 3-game winning streak around the end of October. They won 4-0 against Boston, 3-2 against Chicago, and 4-3 against Columbus. So not the biggest competition. The Bruins aren't anything special. Chicago is Chicago, and Columbus is Columbus. So not very impressive wins. They're wins, but against teams you should be beating. And then they lost to Tampa, okay. Lost to Edmonton, okay. They beat Colorado in 5-2, but again, Colorado ain't doing so hot either, so not the biggest win. They get shut out by the Kings. They lose to the Capitals. They lose to the Panthers. They shut out the Utah Hockey Club. Not the biggest shock. And then they lose to Colorado. So they're not able to sustain wins in a row for quite some time now in their upcoming games. They're going on the Western Canadian road trip. They got Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. Always a tough trip. Now, are they on the road for that? It does not say. If they are on the road, that's a tough road trip, man. It's a very tough road trip. And I don't know, man. Like, Calgary's punching above their weight class. Edmonton's struggling, but they're trying to find it. McDavid's back, and he is on the verge. I think they're playing. Yeah, they're playing tomorrow, right? Yeah, and McDavid is going into that game with 999 points. So he's probably going to finish with 1,008 points because he's going to light Nashville up. That's going to be a very, very difficult game for them to win. And then they play a back-to-back. They got Calgary the next night. And like I said, Calgary they just don't give up. You can't underrate Calgary. They just keep plucking away, and they're in a playoff spot still, to my surprise. And then Vancouver, who is Vancouver? They're starting to get it together as well, more consistently. Pedersen's starting to get it going. Finally, my fantasy team thanks him. Just been maybe we'll talk about him in another point, but it's not the easiest looking schedule coming up. They got Seattle after that, Winnipeg, good fucking luck. New Jersey, Philadelphia, Tampa. Man, they got to turn it around. They got to turn it around quick because we're getting very close to that American Thanksgiving, and it's a really good point of the season. If you're out of the playoffs by then, by a certain amount of points, it's really hard to make it up at this point in the season, and Nashville is digging themselves a big hole. They need to go on like a 5+ game winning streak to even get them out of the hole. And then they can start trying to figure it out. So that ain't easy, man. Not a lot of teams going on major win streaks right now. So Nashville needs one. They need one more than any team, I think, right now. So if they can do it, if they can get that, like, it could be a good rallying point. They can rattle off 3 wins on that Western Canadian road trip or whatever. If it's at home, then cool. Beat those Canadian teams. It's a good morale booster. But holy crap. What a disappointing season so far for the Nashville Predators. I can only imagine what Preds fans are going through right now, ripping out their hair, screaming at walls. There's probably screaming at walls. I mean, you can punch a hole in a wall and then scream at it, I guess, if you want to. But yeah, I imagine there might be a few basements with some punched holes in the walls in Nashville right now. So that fucking sucks. Speaking of fucking sucks, let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and Pacioretty getting hurt. That fucking sucks, man. Pacioretty was looking good. He was looking good, bro. He's been throwing hits like I have never seen him throw before. I was stunned. I forget who he hit, but I think it was in the Montreal game where he got hurt. He laid some dude out, and that kid was just like fucking woozy for like 11 seconds there. He's like, holy shit, what did I just get hit by, a fucking Mack truck? But yes, Pacioretty going down, very noticeable hamstring injury. He grabbed it, and yeah, so he's going to be out week to week, and that sucks because he really did look like he was finding a spot in that top 6, which there's an opening there for Toronto, so that sucks that it looks like our front runner for that spot is going down. He won't be back for, I would imagine, 3 weeks or so, and that's not all right. But what is all right with the Toronto Maple Leafs is that motherfucking power play is awake, baby. Fuck yes. Thank goodness. So their major problem, the big glaring issue with Toronto, apparently has been fixed. And it all started with that freaking power play with the 5 forwards on it. And Matthews set up Willie with that one-timer, and they have been electric ever since. Their power play has moved all the way up to 19.3%, and they're 15th in the NHL. They were 30th or 31st last time we talked about them. So they damn near doubled how good they are, and they have been scoring at will on the power play. It's almost like a guarantee they're going to score if they go on the power play. And what did they do? They simplified the power play. Get in there, pucks on the net, and crash that net, and get in there and fucking score on rebounds, and it's been working like a charm, baby. They've been hitting the net on their clear looks. They've taken the shot, and it's working. I'm very, very pleased with the Toronto Maple Leafs power play over the last week. It's been great. It's been sensational. And if they keep it up, they might be top 5 power play. If they keep this pace up, they will be top 5 power play in the league. And Everything else is looking really good with Toronto. Our only other concern would be goal scoring. Goal scoring is down right now, but at the cost of better defense, I'm fine with this. They are 6th place in the NHL right now for goals against. The Toronto Maple Leafs are playing some good defensive hockey right now, and I can't freaking believe it. I'm loving it. Now, yes, the hockey games have been a little bit dull this season. I watched the Detroit game, pretty fucking boring. Watched that Habs game, a little bit boring, but boring wins. Boring hockey wins. And I am at the point now, I'm fine with boring hockey if it gets us wins. If it gets me a playoff series win, play as boring as you want. Hit me with the 1-3-1. I don't give a fuck. If it wins, and it's working right now. So that's great. Power play, doing good. Penalty kill, 6th place in the NHL, looking good. Goaltending, looking awesome right now with Anthony Stolarz. Yes, they had a very, very disappointing game last night against the Ottawa Senators. I watched the first 3 minutes, and I knew it was going to be a rough night. Want to know why? Ottawa scored on the first shot. You know it's going to be a rough, long night when that shit goes down. Ask Calgary when Markstrom let in, the first shot 100 times. That was always a ball breaker. But Anthony Stolarz, even though that was disappointing, he still played great, and he's been ridiculous. And I called this, man. I called it. I knew Anthony Stolarz was going to be amazing. 930 save percentage right now and a 211 goals against. Holy crap. I don't know if I expected him to be that good, but dude, if he keeps this up, he's going to be an $11 million goaltender by the end of his little tenure in Toronto. That's the only sad thing about this. I don't think he's in the long-term plans. If he is, I mean, I would have him in my long-term plans now, absolutely, but we all know Joseph Woll is the guy, right? But has Joseph Woll been all that good this year? I mean, he's fine. He's played in 4 games. He's a 2-2, a 2.27 goals against, and a 905. So, good, not bad, not great, but fine. So, we're okay with that, and the other good thing about it is apparently, from what it looks like on the ice, we're seeing a lot of smiles and happy conversations between Woll and Stolarz. So it doesn't seem like we have any controversy there. Great sign. Great sign for a team getting along well together. That's great. So I'm happy with that. Okay, I better talk about Willie, because last time I talked about Willie, I was very, very hard on Willie, and I think I have every right to be. He's making a shitload of money now, but he has shut me up a little bit right here. He has been playing very, very good. He's got 11 goals in 17 games, 18 points in 17. I would want a little bit more than that, like a little bit, but I understand they are playing more defensively, so points may be down across the board for the superstars, which may end up being good. I mean, if Marner, he's got 20 points in 17 games. If Marner, if he doesn't go too crazy this year, then maybe we can save some money on him for once, because I feel like you got overpaid on that first deal. I think you should come back and try and help us out on the second deal, bro. Don't ask for a raise. You don't need a raise. You got enough money. All right. But Willie, been playing great. I'm very impressed with the way that Willie has been playing lately. And John Tavares, giving him his flowers as well after the sickness. He's really, really been phenomenal. Yes, he is still a slow player, but he's a smart player. He's got 8 goals in 16 games at his age. I'm very happy with that. He is on pace for around 40 goals, which is really good. Much better than he did last year. I think he didn't even crack 30 goals last year. It was like 29 goals, but yeah, it looks like John Tavares is on a solid bounce back. We'll see how good he'll do this year, as long as he can stay nice and healthy, no more sicknesses. And, dude, Morgan Riley is having a resurgence this season. Looks like he could very well possibly crack that 60 points for... I feel like it's been a while. He might have had 60 points, but anyway, it looks like he's going to have one of his better seasons since that 20-goal campaign he had way back in the Babcock era. So that's very good. I'm very happy with Morgan Riley. He is a -1, which is one of the only minuses on the whole entire team. So it's not bad. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's just a minus. That's all. Austin Matthews. So Matthews not really I've had numerous conversations with people at work like, oh, is the C weighing him down? Is it too heavy? Is it too much responsibility for him? I just don't think I think he's buying into the system, y'all. I think he's realizing that I need to play more responsibly than he already is. He needs to play more. Last year he blew me away with how much he stepped up defensively, the blocks, the coming back, the takeaways, like the back checking. It was all there. He's hitting a little bit more now. Even Marner's been hitting, which is great. They don't need to be hammering people. You can save it for the playoffs, but I want you finishing checks. Absolutely. Finish your checks when it's time, when you can. Finish that check, and they have been. They really have. I've even seen Marner, like I said, he's been throwing hits, which is good. And I hope in the playoffs they got to throw that weight around a little more. Matthew's a big guy, man. He's not tiny. He's big and strong, and I want him to start flaunting that. And it looks like he's getting there more and more. Now, that will risk more injuries, and he's on the injured reserve right now, which fucking sucks. Apparently, it's nothing major, and he will be back. I don't think he's coming in for the game tonight against Washington. I think he'll be back on the weekend. But at this point, they're not in a desperate spot that they need to force him to play through injury. They have enough depth, I feel like. Tavares is humming. It would be nice if they could, their center depth is a little bit lacking in terms of like real pure centers. Like, is Max Domi a center? Yeah, kind of. Pontus Hoberg? Yeah. Tavares? Yes, absolutely. It would be great to have Ryan O'Reilly come back. Or, hey, now there's an idea. Hey, Ryan, you want to come back? I know you fucking hated Toronto and the media and everything. Don't really blame you for that, but why don't you come on back? We really liked you over here, and I would love to have Ryan O'Reilly back playing under freaking Berube again, where he won the Stanley Cup. I think there could be something there, folks. Anyway, I just got myself a little bit excited. Actually, you know what? Barry Trotz, do the rebuild and give us Ryan O'Reilly for a second-round pick and retain 50%. That would be amazing. That'd be so awesome. Not going to happen. All right, we'll give you Nick Robertson, too. We'll give you Nicky Bobby. Actually, let's talk about Nicky Bobby. Yes, he's not scoring, but he's playing really, really good. When I fucking had my eyes locked on him, I'm like, I'm watching this guy. I'm scouting this player. And what I saw, I was very, very impressed. He is a dog out there. He is all over the puck, chasing it, battling. He's getting it. And he has that goal taken away from him. I was fucking devastated. I felt so bad. I'm like, dude, nothing's going right for him right now. And his brother, Jason Robertson, what the fuck is your problem? Score something, you piece of shit. I drafted you, and you're ruining my fantasy team. He's got, wow. Oh, Jason Robertson, I guess that's my little rant on him. I'm pissed. I am pissed off at Jason Robertson. And maybe I'll watch a Dallas game and watch Jason Robertson, see if he's playing like his brother right now. Like, he's playing really well. It's just not going in. But he's pissing me off because every night he's in my lineup, zeros across the board, maybe one shot and one block. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing out there? Anyway, Nicky Bobby, I'm impressed with his play, and I think Berube is too, because he's still in the lineup regardless of his lack of production. He's still playing good hockey. He's keeping the puck in there. He is retrieving it. He's battling hard on the boards. Like, I'm impressed with what Nicky Bobby has done. Is he still on the trade block? I would imagine so. I imagine teams are asking about him, and if the right deal comes along, maybe, yeah, they do move on from him, but right now I just don't think they should trade him unless something cool comes by. But I don't know what's out there for him. And I guess I should talk about Liljegren getting traded. I totally missed talking about that last week. But yeah, he gone. Where the fuck did he go? He went to San Jose, didn't he? Well, that's nice. It really sucks with Liljegren. Both of them, Sandin and Liljegren. Neither of them worked out. And I think they should have, honestly. Even Sean Durzi, like any one of those three defensemen, maybe wouldn't be great on the team right now because I just don't think there's a spot for them on the team. So, I don't know. Like, Durzi, would Durzi be, like, he's a power play specialist, right-hand shot. I mean, you got OEL. He's doing good there. I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed with OEL and Tanev. I knew Tanev would be a great addition. I did not expect this OEL to be this good. He's one of the most noticeable players on the ice for me. Every time he's out there, I'm always noticing good things out of OEL. jumping up in the play at the right time, defensively responsible. He's doing great. Yeah, man, it's there could be more trades. Liljegren, yes, it was disappointing. I was so amped when they drafted him because the year he got drafted, he was supposed to be a top 5 defenseman. He was supposed to be a top 5 pick in that draft. Then he got mono, I do believe, and that really, really hurt his draft stock, and he fell all the way to the Leafs. And I was amped that they got him. I was like, yo, in the NHL games, this kid always gets amazing. And it was just a very frustrating run with the Leafs, man. Every time he would have a good game, he would follow it up with 2 of the worst games of his life. In front of the net, he was an absolute useless, just useless in front of the net. Couldn't defend the front of the net to save his life. So I don't know how you would utilize Liljegren. Is he an offensive defenseman? He can make a nice breakout pass, but I don't think he ever really got a chance on the power play in Toronto. So maybe in San Jose he can find something. It seems like every defenseman that leaves Toronto makes it, does fine. Sandin's doing good in Washington, got a nice contract. Sean Durzee's doing fine. He's got a big contract. And who knows what Liljegren's going to do in San Jose. He's going to get an opportunity. He probably already has 17 points or something after he's been there. But hey, it was a shot on Liljegren. It didn't work. I'm very sad it didn't work. He should be, he should be right there with Morgan Rielly, number 1 and 2. You're left and right, but it didn't work out that way. So sorry it didn't work out, Liljegren. You drove us fucking crazy, man. So now you can drive the San Jose fans crazy, but it won't matter so much right now because they're rebuilding. So it's not a big deal. You'll probably fly underneath the radar. So we also have Calle Jarnkrok is apparently on his way back. He should be returning pretty soon, and I'm very excited to see what Jani Hakanpää is going to do. He is going to hopefully, improve what is already a really good power play, a penalty kill. He's a penalty kill specialist. He's massive. He'll help defend in front of the net well. I'm hoping for some big hits, and yeah, man, I'm hoping this guy will be a key ingredient for a playoff run. He's going to be the guy defending the front of the net, I hope. And yeah, being the guy on the penalty kill, because he was one of the main ingredients for the Dallas penalty kill and how good it was. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see what Hakanpää can do once he gets back. All right, so what else do we have going on around the NHL? Let's go take a look at Carolina. I just want to shout out Marty Necas's phenomenal start. Everyone in Carolina should dye their hair blonde now because apparently that is the key ingredient that has set off Marty Necas. Also a little bit of extra ice time and so on and so forth. That helps out too. But still, he has absolutely shut up everybody about any questions that they had about this player. Almost got traded. What if Marty Necas got traded and was doing this for someone else? How stupid would Carolina look right now? It'd be pretty fucking dumb. But here they are, crushing it. They're doing great again. They're just humming along, being a great team. As always, even though they lost so many pieces of their team, they just continue to move on and playing great. I mean, Svechnikov has stepped up. Marty Necas has stepped up huge. So this is great for the Carolina Hurricanes and exactly what they were hoping for. So Marty Necas, well done. Svechnikov, well done. Svechnikov's still one of my favorite players. Definitely my favorite Carolina Hurricane. I just love that guy. And speaking of love that guy, where can we go with that one? I love Nikolai Ehlers because he has just become the highest scoring Danish-born player in NHL history. Congratulations, Nikolai Ehlers. I mean that sincerely. Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. The former Danish player to hold that record was Frans Nielsen, everybody. Frans Nielsen. Yeah, pretty cool. So that's good. Ehlers is bouncing back, and I guess I better mention the Winnipeg Jets' outrageous, record that they just broke. They have 14 wins in their first 15 games. That is the best start in NHL history for an NHL franchise. Wow. and Winnipeg seemingly is getting better with every game. Kyle Connor, ridiculous. That's my boy right there. I love Kyle Connor. And I'm so sad I didn't get him in any of my fantasy teams this year. People are on to Kyle Connor now. He's not a secret anymore. And yeah, that sucks for me because I used to be able to pick him up in like the 3rd, 4th round, and he was always money. Kyle Connor is always money. He's amazing. Love him. And Scheifele's stepping up. He's got a bunch of goals. Fucking Velarde has been on fuego right now. He's going great. And Neil Pionk, what the hell is going on with this guy? This dude is scoring. He's like Erik Karlsson over here. He's got 3 assists the other night. And of course, I dropped Neil Pionk early in the season like a moron, and he just went off. And someone else has him now, and they're loving him, and my team sucks. So that was a bad move on my part, but fucking Neil Pionk is doing amazing. Do we need to talk about Hellebuck? Like, the dude's ridiculous. He is so important to that Winnipeg Jets team. Like, there's no way they have the record that they do without Hellebuck, but it's not just Hellebuck. It's the whole team is united, and I'm honestly shocked that people were down on the Jets coming into the season. Yeah, it was a disappointing playoff, but their regular season was outstanding. That Dubois trade, I will still look so high. I was so high on that trade when it happened, and it just continues to get better and better and better. Like, honestly, they could have just done like Velarde for Dubois, and that probably would have been enough. And Washington probably still loses that trade, or not Washington, fucking LA. And then on top of that, they give you 2 other guys, like I think it was Kupari and some other fucking guy, and you just gave them a whole line. So they got incredible depth. They're scoring at will. Their defense is great. They got one of the best, if not the best, goaltender in the world in their net. Holy shit. Now, obviously, the big thing, kind of like the Leafs, is, we don't give a fuck about your great regular season. You got to prove yourself in the playoffs, and Winnipeg absolutely has to. They cannot have the season that they're having right now and go down in the first round. That will not be accepted. That would be very bad. And then there probably would be some serious changes going on this team. And, they were pretty smart at holding steadfast when they did back then. They could have rebuilt. Scheifele was on the board. Hellebuck was on the board without a contract. And then they re-signed them, gave them extensions, and look at them go now. So Winnipeg looking really, really fucking smart. How many more wins? Like, this team does not look like they're going to lose again. And I'm scared for the next time Toronto meets Winnipeg, because Winnipeg is going to have revenge. And they're going to want that revenge. And hopefully Toronto can continue to be the only team that defeated them, because that feels really nice right now. And you know what else feels really nice? Connor McDavid is back for the Edmonton Oilers. I kind of already teased that, the fact that he is going into the Nashville game tomorrow with 999 points. He is on, if he gets that 1,000 points, I think he's the 4th or 6th fastest player to 1,000 points, which is ridiculous. I mean, how fast that Connor McDavid's gotten to 1,000 points, I think not easily, it's going to be difficult, but I think he's going to get 2,000 points, man. I think he's going to get there. I think he's easily got more than half left in his career, and he's got numerous more 100-plus point seasons. I think health will be really the only thing that dictates if Connor McDavid gets to 2,000 career points or not. I think he's absolutely got the stuff to do it. Doesn't look like he's slowing down at any point. And what else do we got? Talked about that. I talked about that. All right. Well, there's no real way to slide into these nicely, so we'll talk about some injuries. Calgary's got a bad one, folks. Calgary still in the hunt a little bit, but I don't know how much longer, because Anthony Mantha is out for the remainder of the season with an ACL injury, and he will be getting surgery, and he's done. That fucking sucks. He was off to a great start, and there's not really much more to say to that other than that fucking sucks, dude. Like, to miss the whole season, there's still so much more season left, and man, that's gotta suck. So, get well soon, Mantha, and hopefully we'll see you back in a Calgary uniform next season, because you were a nice addition so far. I like him. And then we got Colorado news. Nichushkin is set to return November 15th, which is that not tomorrow? No, it is not. Friday. It looks like Friday, Nichushkin will be set to return to the lineup. So if he's out there in your fantasy pools and he's available, go pick him up, man, because if he comes back and he's the player that he was, holy shit, he was insane. Absolutely insane. So yeah, maybe I'll go try and see if he's available anywhere. I might want to go and check that one out. And in terms of check that out, let's do a little stat check. We'll check out the stat leaders around the NHL, and let's see, how do we do that? There we go, stats. All right, so currently leading the NHL, your top 5 players in points. You got leading Nathan MacKinnon with 30 points. He's been ridiculous. Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov, 28 points. He also has, 6 3-point games already this season? Insane. Sam Reinhart has 24 points, building off of a fantastic season he had. There's Marty Necas, tied for top 3 in the NHL with 24 points. That's amazing, Necas. And Cale Makar has fallen all the way down to tied for 3rd place. He was 1st place, I think, last time we checked. Let's just go into the top 10. Fuck it. We got Jack Eichel, 24 points. Nikita Kucherov, 23. Kyle Connor, 22. Panarin, 22. Dylan Strome, 22. And there you go. Let's go now to goals. Leading the NHL is a 3-way tie between Sam Reinhart, Leon Draisaitl, and Cole Caulfield with 12 goals apiece. Very impressive. Nikita Kucherov and Kyle Connor rounding out your top 5 they're also tied with William Nylander and Tage Thompson at 11 goals. So Willie is up there. Could Willie hit 50 goals this year? That'd be sick. That would be so sick. And Ovechkin's got 10 goals. He's on his way to getting that record. Will he do it this year? I don't know. That's so cool. All right, so there's your goals and assists. You got your leaders are Nathan MacKinnon, 23 assists. Next up, Kaprizov with 19, Jack Eichel, 19, Cale Makar, 18, and Dylan Strome, who has been destroying right now, just a multi-point machine, 18 assists. Plus minus, fuck it, I don't give a shit. And power play goals, we don't really care about any. Okay, let's go to the goalies now. Leading, okay, this looks normal. Last time I looked at it, it was all fucked up. But goals against leading, obviously, Connor Hellebuck. 1.92 goals against. Absolutely amazing. And he's even had a couple of stinkers or two in the last few. And he's still amazing. Anthony Stolar, 2nd place, 2.11. Absolutely sensational. Philip Gustafson, 2.27. Amazing. Jake Allen, 2.35. Maybe he should get some more games. Cam Talbot, 2.40. Really underrated goaltender. He's been great for Detroit. And save percentage leading the way. Connor Hellebuck, 934. Stolarz, 930. Cam Talbot, 926. Lucas Dostal. Oh, more like the Anaheim Lucas Dostals, am I right? That guy has been holding up that team. He's got a 922. How much longer will that be? And Philip Gustafson with a 919. Wins leaders for goalies. Hellebuck way out in the lead with 12. Kevin Lankinen's got 8. He's been great for Vancouver. Markstrom with 8. Sergei Bobrovsky 8. And Kochetkov with 8. And your shutout leaders is Connor Hellebuck with 3 shutouts. And you got a big old tie with 2 shutouts for Jake Allen, Forsberg, and UC Soros. And Jonathan Quick's got a shutout because of course he does. He's Jonathan freaking Quick. And I think that will be everything that I want to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to have time to do that NHL's Top 50 versus Sportsnet's NHL Top 50. So we'll just leave it for a rainy day when there is no news. But there's enough news to get through this week. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening. You the best. You want to be even more of the best, though. Make sure you're reviewing and liking the podcast. Share it around with all your friends and enemies and family members and all that great stuff. You want to watch these episodes, you can watch them in their full entirety on the YouTube channel, GamerGX Videos. Go over there, subscribe, and it's a great place. You want a question answered live on the podcast, anything about hockey, wrestling, or video games, drop a comment on the YouTube channel. I got a Twitter page. You can send a message on there as well. All the links are in the description. And yeah, so there we go, everybody. In terms of what else we got going on with the GX Plus cast this week, we got a GamerCast coming out this week. I'm going to be doing a retrospective on a random Call of Duty. You'll just have to wait and see what Call of Duty I am choosing, but it's November time, man, and November means Call of Duty, and that means I'm getting nostalgic for old Call of Duties, and I picked one. I've done 2 already, so if you know which 2 I've already done, you probably know what the next one is. It's not that big of a secret, but that'll be coming out on Friday, so be expecting a Call of Duty retrospective on a random Call of Duty, and the WrestleCast should be standard. I don't think there's any pay-per-views, but every time I say that, there is a pay-per-view, so if there is a pay-per-view, I will have a pay-per-view review for that pay-per-view, and your regular WWE and AEW recaps, and what else? I just did the hockey, so there you go. I think that's everything we got going on this week, so best way to keep up with all that stuff is to stick around with the GX Plus cast, and we will be back with some more GX Plus cast.